Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. Today I wanted to sit down and share my simple budgeting routine. I wanted to go through exactly how I budget our family's finances, take you through start to finish exactly what that looks like. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Liz, a married mom to 3 in my 40s. Here on my channel, I love to share my journey to live with more intention, save with purpose, and spend with joy. I love sharing real life and real numbers, and more than anything, I love connecting with other women on a similar journey. If that is you, introduce yourself in the comments. I do love chatting with all of you. Let's jump right in to how I budget our family's finances. First thing when it comes to budgeting is I use a digital budget. I have graduated to one that I've purchased from Etsy. I used to use a simple Google spreadsheet, which I actually created a free one for you. I will link that video that goes through how to set up a budget if you're new to budgeting. That video has a link to the free spreadsheet. Since I've been on this journey for a little while, I now use one that I can track our finances in. It puts it into the different categories. It's a little bit more fancy and I do really enjoy it. But you can do this whether you use that free one that I created, whether you just open up a Google spreadsheet and make your own. When I started out in budgeting, I used a simple notebook and lined paper. You can do this anyway. The most important thing is to just get started. For the purposes of the video, I will be taking you through how I budget using this spreadsheet that I purchased on Etsy, which I will also have linked in my description box. And because I'm a visual learner, I thought here on the screen, I would actually take you through like a mock budget and show you exactly what I do step by step. So the first thing I do is I will enter our projected income. So what I think we are going to be bringing in that month. That goes in the income section of the spreadsheet. Once I have our income, then I go in and I go through our bills and subscriptions. So these are the things that will be auto drafted from our account or our credit card. Whatever those are, I go through and I make sure that I have those all listed. Because this is a digital copy, the amazing thing about it is it all gets copied over from the month before. It really is simple once you set it up. I go through and just make sure that just in case it's a 5-week month, we do pay our mortgage weekly. I will have like an extra mortgage payment that month. Maybe it's a quarterly expense. Just make sure that I'm capturing any bills or subscriptions that are going to be coming from one of our accounts. Then what's left over from there, I go into our expenses. So these are those variable expenses that can change month to month. Things like groceries, gas for your car, eating out, maybe activity or sports payments you have to make. Anything that's not regularly the same or isn't auto drafted from your account, that's what I like to put in the expense category. And I like to have my planner nearby when I'm setting up my budget because I can have a look. Are there any commitments we have? Maybe we're meeting friends for dinner or I'm hosting an event, entertaining, anything like that. I would be able to put under the expenses category. And then once I'm done with all of the expenses, I take what's left over and I go over to our savings category. And here is where I have things like our long-term savings. I like to have a certain amount of money go into that account. Here is where I like to save towards taxes because I am considered self-employed, so I need to make sure that I am putting money aside for that. So any of those long-term savings. Included in our savings category, I also have sinking funds. So sinking funds are pockets of money that you save month after month to go towards a larger purchase. So some of our categories are Christmas. I like to save a little bit of money every single month or every other month to put towards Christmas. Another example is clothing. I like to put aside $100 a month to go towards any clothing purchases we need to make. 2 of my children do travel sports, so I also like to have some money go towards any of that. So again, really handy to have like a planner or a calendar nearby where you can really have a realistic snapshot of what's happening in your life throughout the month so you can make sure that your money connects to those events. So you don't feel like you have to use your credit card or any other debt to pay for those things. You're prepared and you're planning out ahead of time. We also have an investment category. So we do put a certain amount of money every single month into investments. And side note, I figured out what these amounts were by simply doing this and budgeting and seeing kind of what was left over at the end of the month to make those amounts realistic. And you can use different formulas if you need something to get started with, like a 50, 30, 20. 50% of your money goes towards needs, 30% goes towards wants. That would be your sinking funds, maybe travel travel, and then 20% would go towards savings and investing. So you could do that if you wanted, just if you're getting started. As you get going on your budget, you tweak and you perfect in a way that works for you and your family. At least I have found that to be true. And then I have what I call my buffer / travel fund. And I talked about this in my How I Stay Motivated to Budget Month After Month video, which I will link as well in my description box. But 2 things about me. I love to travel so much, and I am a natural overspender. My husband is such a great saver, but I have really had to work that saving muscle. I'm just someone who loves like fun and joy and adventure. I don't really like stuff so much. I've kind of come away from that over the past 10 years, especially as I got closer to 40. But there's something about like experiences that just lights me up, and I can tend to overspend on that. So what really helps me is having a buffer / travel account. So basically, because we budget in a zero-based budget way, and this is a question I get a lot, is, well, what if I don't have enough money? Like, what if a bill is more than I thought it would be? Or what if we didn't make as much as I thought we did when I sat down to do our budget? I have this little fund that is my buffer. So once I budget everything out, I like to keep some left over. So anywhere from like 300, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's more, depending on what our projected income is. And that little pocket of money I use as a buffer. So basically, if we overspend, if a bill happens to be a little bit higher than I thought it was, anything like that, that money will come from that buffer. But what helps me is whatever's left over, if I don't overspend and if everything on the budget is correct, that money goes into our travel fund. Essentially a travel sinking fund. It goes towards traveling, it goes towards family fun, it goes towards all of those things that I love to do with my family. So it really helps me stay the course, because I know that that money is gonna go towards our larger why. If you are someone who budgets in a zero-based budget way, I cannot recommend that. Whatever it is that brings you joy, have that be your little carrot that helps you stay motivated on your budget. Once I have the budget set up for the month, I'm ready to turn the calendar page and start a fresh month. And then I track our expenses every single day. I have just found this to be the easiest way to stay on top of things, because it doesn't get too overwhelming. I am definitely someone that if it's too much, I might shut down and not want to feel the motivation to do it. So I have found that it's just so easy. Every single morning with a cup of coffee, I simply pop into our bank account and our visas, see kind of what's come out, pay anything manually that needs to be paid, go into the spreadsheet that I'm using from Etsy, and it tracks it all for me by categories. So for example, if we went to the gas station and filled up gas in our van, I would go into my spreadsheet and I would go to expenses, I would go to van gas, I would plug in the amount, and it will automatically deduct it from my budgeted amount that I have for that category. It just helps me stay connected to what's happening in our bank account. And I think awareness is everything. And then if I have an expense, for example, that went on our visa, I try and pay this off once or twice a week. I will change the text to anything that I need to pay in red, so that I know I have to manually go in and transfer that money from our checking account to our visa. An example of this is I just purchased a birthday gift for my mom on Amazon. So I know that I want to take that from my gift sinking fund that I have set up. So once I see it posted to my credit card, I go into my tracker, I track that expense for the gift, I mark it in red, and then when I go to pay my visa at the end of the week, usually I'd like to do it on Fridays, then I know that I need to transfer that amount from my gift sinking fund to my credit card. And then once I pay it, I change the font from red to black, so I know that it's already been looked after. And that is my budget routine. It takes me maybe less than 15 minutes to set up our budget. It takes me 5 minutes to check in every day and track those expenses. And then depending on how many charges to our visa, it can take me anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes a week to pay off those amounts from whatever category I need to take the money from. Not a huge time commitment, however, something that has truly changed our lives and given us so much freedom, so much empowerment to know exactly what's coming in and out, and to really reach like huge goals. It makes makes you find money that maybe was leaking in certain areas that you didn't realize how much you were spending in. And it really makes you ask the question of, is this really worth it? Or would I rather take that money and be able to enjoy a little adventure with my family? So again, it just gives you so much awareness. And I think awareness is everything. And like I said, it's really changed our lives so much. And that's why I'm so passionate about talking about it, about sharing what's worked for me, because it truly is life-changing. Thank you so much for watching. I am so grateful for every single one of you. I hope I was able to help you in any way or give you just a little piece of motivation to get started on this journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in my next one. Bye, everyone.